Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me for today's explainer. You know, we're going to be looking really closely at a club that literally commands global attention no matter the weather. But this year? Oh, the forecast is particularly fascinating. We're detailing Manchester United's monumental 2026-27 campaign. There's this absolute electricity in the air around Old Trafford this season. And as you'll see, the data, the transfers, and the huge structural shifts we're about to explore, they're going to show you exactly why this year feels completely different.
Okay, let's dive into this. We really have to ask ourselves, what does a football giant actually do after undergoing a massive multi-year rebuild? Right? The scaffolding has been up for seasons, the blueprints had been redrawn time and time again, but now the management team genuinely believes they've found the ultimate architect. Is club legend Michael Carrick the final piece of this giant puzzle? That's the central narrative of this whole campaign. And honestly, the way they're building the squad suggests they're going all in on his vision.
To really understand the scope of this project, we've broken this explainer down into 4 critical phases. First, a new era begins. Second, the transfer market shakeup. Third, preseason testing grounds. And finally, the road ahead.
So let's jump right into part 1, a new era begins with Carrick at the wheel. Now, for years, Carrick was kind of the quiet, strategic heartbeat of the United midfield. But now, he's tasked with being the strategic mastermind of the entire football club. And before we look to the future, we really have to respect the past. 140. This is Manchester United's 140th season in their rich, storied history. That number, it represents an incredible weight of expectations. When you take the manager's seat in that dugout, you aren't just playing for today. You're carrying the legacy of the Busby Babes, the class of '92, and just decades of global dominance. And the front office made their commitment absolutely clear before a single ball was even kicked. Michael Carrick didn't just get an interim tag. No way. He signed a 2-year permanent contract as head coach. And the stakes? Exceptionally high. His primary mandate is navigating the club through their highly anticipated return to the UEFA Champions League. This is actually their first appearance in Europe's premier competition since the 2023-24 season, so the pressure is definitely on to prove they belong right back among Europe's elite.
Moving on to part 2, the transfer market shakeup. Out with the old, in with the new.
And this brilliantly illustrates how this summer wasn't just about minor tweaks to the roster. This was a complete philosophy shift, a total structural overhaul of the club's profile. Notice the contrast here. You have the departure of massive established names who were previously supposed to be the future, and they are entirely replaced by incoming strategists. So the focus completely shifted away from individual superstardom. Instead, they leaned heavily into acquiring tactical, calculated midfielders designed to execute a very specific possession-based system.
Let's look closer at these massive roster cuts, because honestly, the sheer shock value of this clearance just cannot be overstated. Casemiro, a literally 5-time Champions League winner, was released and ended up joining Inter Miami in MLS. Jadon Sancho, once one of the absolute most expensive wingers in the world, released. Tyrell Boulacia, released. And Rasmus Højlund, their marquee striker investment, was shipped off to Napoli in Serie A. I mean, this is the very definition of clearing the decks. Carrick and the board sent a loud, undeniable message. Past price tags do not guarantee future playing time, and bloated wages just won't be tolerated if you don't fit the new tactical mold.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the finances balance out this aggressive strategy. To fund their new vision, they secured a reported £43.2 million obligation to buy from Napoli for Højlund. And then, they immediately reinvested that capital right into the engine room. An incredible £48 million was spent to bring in Andre Santos from Chelsea, injecting youth and tenacity. And they paired him with the proven Premier League experience of Yuri Tielemans, who they brought in from Aston Villa for £35 million. So they effectively traded their frontline focal point for a completely revamped midfield core. Real game-changer stuff.
But you know, it wasn't just about the blockbuster deals. A successful 140th campaign requires smart, strategic depth. The club secured veteran goalkeeper Carl Darlow on a free transfer from Leeds United, just to provide some crucial cover. They also looked to the future, bringing in young forward Tynan Thompson from Tottenham Hotspur for a really reasonable initial fee of £4 million. These are exactly the kinds of marginal gains that keep a squad robust through a brutal winter.
Okay, that brings us to part 3, preseason testing grounds, a global tour.
So, with the new squad assembled, it was time to put Carrick's tactical blueprint to the test under the bright lights.
Just look at this intense travel schedule. It's a crazy reminder of the global brand Manchester United operates. They started on July 18th in Helsinki, bounced over to Trondheim, Norway, down to Stockholm and Gothenburg in Sweden, then flew all the way across to Dublin, Ireland, before finally wrapping up the tour in Wrocław, Poland on August 15th. It is a punishing, continent-spanning journey meant to build fitness, commercial revenue, and team chemistry all at the exact same time.
Let's move to the pitch and see how this builds, because the on-pitch results over this tour told a story of rapid, real-time evolution. In that very first match in Helsinki, we saw the typical growing pains of a new system, right? A 1-0 stumble against Wrexham. But just 6 days later in Trondheim, wow, the tactical gears clicked into place, resulting in an absolute 5-0 thrashing of Rosenborg. You could literally see the players beginning to digest Carrick's instructions out there on the field.
And the individuals who stepped up during this tour were incredibly promising for the club's future. Brian Mbeumo was arguably the standout, delivering a crucial match-winning brace in a 2-1 victory over heavyweights Atletico Madrid in Stockholm. But perhaps even more exciting for the Old Trafford faithful was the youth explosion against Rosenborg. Joshua Zirkzee found the net, alongside exciting academy prospects like Shea Lacey, Jacob Devani, and Harry Amas. That blend of seasoned recruits and fearless youth, it was right there on the pitch for everyone to see.
Now for the final phase, Part 4, the road ahead, the 38-game gauntlet.
Preseason optimism is great and all, but it kind of evaporates the moment the real football starts. To really ground us in what this domestic campaign actually means, we look at the number 35. This is Manchester United's 35th season in the Premier League. For over 3 decades, they have been a permanent fixture in the most watched, most relentlessly competitive league on the planet. So, the crucial point here is how quickly this new-look squad can hit the ground running when the points actually matter. The campaign officially kicks off on August 22nd, and they won't have the comfort of Old Trafford. They start on the road, away against Hull City. It's a classic, gritty English football test right out of the gate, just to see if Carrick's possession-based ideals can actually withstand a raucous away atmosphere.
But if you want to know where this season will truly be decided, take a look at this absolutely brutal winter away stretch. November 21st at Anfield against Liverpool. Less than 2 weeks later, December 2nd, up north in the freezing cold at St. James Park against Newcastle. 10 days after that, down to London to face Crystal Palace, and a week later, back in London to face Arsenal on December 19th. This is the ultimate crucible. Surviving this stretch of away fixtures in November and December with points on the board could entirely make or break their title or top 4 aspirations.
And, as if that domestic schedule wasn't punishing enough, remember what Carrick was hired to do? Compete in Europe. Interspersed within that grueling Premier League gauntlet are 8 incredibly demanding Champions League ties. Under the new UEFA format, they face an 8-game league phase. That means playing 4 at home and 4 away against 8 completely different teams, with their opponents decided in the late August draw. Squad depth, like those strategic signings of Darlow and Thompson we talked about earlier, is going to be stretched to its absolute limit.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question to close out this explainer. With the veterans cleared out, the massive investments made in the midfield, and a brutal winter schedule looming on the horizon, can Michael Carrick's new-look Manchester United conquer England and make their triumphant return to the top of Europe? The stage is set, the pieces are on the board, and I don't know about you, but I literally cannot wait for kickoff. Thanks so much for joining me for this deep dive. Keep an eye on those November fixtures, and we'll see exactly how this incredible story unfolds on the pitch.